What's up? It's your boy, live and unscripted from Atlanta, and we are on day 40 of a United States government shutdown. Could you imagine? That's the longest ever, and hopefully after this administration, the longest. There's a thing, right, where like there's so many things wrong with the government, and the government isn't like designed to like please everybody. Normally people are supposed to like have complaints about their government. You know, it's always supposed to be able to be better, right? There's an asymptote for that, obviously, but there's a certain point where you realize that even with different people at the helm of this machine, that's the structure of this entire scheme is no longer acceptable. Our legislation has to change, our judicial body has to change, and our executive body definitely has to change. We need to get rid of things like the two-party political system and stuff. And it's like, I'm not blaming that solely for something like this government shutdown, but they enable things to mount to a head like this because the deadlock is between two parties who really don't have your interests at mind. One kind of has some of your interests, and the other one wants to keep on doing even worse things to everybody. Aside from that, we're going to be talking about the United States budget, and not like an analytical thing, but just like there are things that our country can't pay for allegedly, and then there are things that our country are doing that are very, very, very expensive. You'd think they wouldn't be able to pay for that either, but they managed to do so. So I'm just going to be rattling off shit that I don't like, and then like make that into a YouTube video. Hope you're along for the ride. Thanks for watching. We are going to start with what the United States government can't pay for. Apparently we ain't got money for healthcare, which is kind of funny because it's like the phantasm that they've projected, and by they projected I mean American conservatives, far-right conservatives, people in, you know, lawmaking positions and stuff. They think that and they've been lying about the fact that American Democrats and people left of Democrat who managed to be elected, go Mamdani, they think that we want to give free healthcare to immigrants. We don't even give free healthcare to like our own citizens under like most circumstances. We ain't got no money for healthcare. We do. Obviously, the American government does collect enough tax money to have healthcare for its like citizens. They just don't do that. And the parties responsible are, you know, it's money in government and lobbying and our terrible insurance racket, right? That's the main blocker. And to add to that, we don't have money for childcare. You know, it costs like more than rent to send a kid to daycare, and then that parent has to work. 2-income households, 3-income households, stuff like that. They're becoming kind of mando for most families. If you're even going to invest into childcare, not have like a friend or one of your parents take care of your kid, or just the spouse who isn't working. But childcare costs a lot of money, and the things that entail with childcare, like diapers and food and medicine, those cost a lot of money too. Money that's not coming out of nowhere. It's coming out of American pockets that hardly have enough to take care of themselves. The people who do manage to have children are really out here in the places like Europe and, you know, Asia, where the government would actually like not like reward you, but like appropriately assist you in childcare. And then they look over to America and it's the Wild West out here, literally the Wild West. It's like every person for themselves. It's kind of nuts, right? We ain't got no money for that. We don't have money to rear the next generation of children. SNAP benefits. So this is a conspiracy. I don't know if it's true or not, but people are saying that Donald Trump is using SNAP, the money that would have gone to SNAP. If you don't know the context for this video, and this is to date it, SNAP is like been cut. Like food stamps have been cut during the government shutdown. In November, where like there's a very food-based, festival-based, holiday. We got Thanksgiving over here. They cut food stamps. It is pretty crazy because the stuff that's happening that the government's actually paying for, you'd think that there's two things that people are saying that the government is doing with, three things really. They think they are trying to agitate so two things. They're trying to agitate the people into be like, this advanced level of suffering is going to allow the president eventually to invoke the Insurrection Act so he can keep power. And also they're saying that they're diverting the funds from food stamps from SNAP, the SNAP cancellation, that the money that would have gone to there, it is going to a construction project that we'll be talking about later, the Epstein ballroom or whatever, right? We don't have money to feed our own American citizens, where like food stamps and stuff was an expected benefit for people who work but do not have enough money to eat, because food is so expensive, and everything else that necessitates being able to eat food, like having a place to live and being healthy enough to take care of yourself. The Americans need extra money from the government that we pay in taxes. Obviously, it costs like the average American like $36 a year to fund our food stamps program, and now no one's getting it. And as to add an addendum to that, we've got veterans in like food pantry shelves, people who have vowed to take arms for this country and defend its constitution, are not being paid or fed. So now they've got to get special deals from the government that exhaust incredibly quickly, and when they're not doing that, they're in the line for soup with the rest of us. Like, what did they promise to protect? You'd think that not feeding your dog would get you bitten or eaten, right? But no, apparently not. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this like American government, especially with Hexeth and shit. It's pretty nuts to hear like the dire state of things when it comes to like, okay, so if you're not feeding your military and your military has to go to like food kitchens, what are they doing? Who is the government's loyalty to, and like what are they testing to see like, well, we can afford to not do this, and then nothing happens, and you see the cruel smile on the corners of these oil billionaires, and it's like, maybe they do want to invoke the Insurrection Act. I don't know. Functional education. We really haven't had a functional education system for a very long time. The American government got money for that. A lot of places are just not really, teachers are stressed. A lot of government workers who have to take care of kids are stressed as fuck. That's a short one. I didn't have like too many details on that tick, but let's talk about what the United States government can pay for. And again, day 40 of the shutdown. So I haven't made a video in a very long time. So of course, like I said, when I don't make a video, the news mounts up. So let's just talk about all the most expensive shit that the United States government has gotten up to in shutting down the government and not paying their air traffic controllers or their soldiers or their essential workers, to the point where the economy is slowing down and we're losing billions and billions of dollars that we don't have to lose a week. Old news, but the Argentina bailout, when the United States is trying to do some sort of consolation to China leaving its soybean market and taking money from, it's nuts that how much money the American economy lost, how many people are going hungry now, how many people are going broke, and it's like, if it weren't for the simple unadulterated racism of one person, that would not have been a thing, but it is, and it's cost the American people a lot. But what can we pay for? We can pay $20 billion or more to the Argentinian government to save their currency at our expense. And by our expense, I mean by the expense of the common starving now American person. It's like, there's a couple of things that I have to like do to preface, like, despite the chaos of the government and despite my relatively like, I'm poor. Like I make not a lot of money. I make less than like $37,000 a year at my full-time job. However, my life has not been super duper affected. I mean, I know people who have children, they're doing pretty badly. People who have to fend for themselves, people who depended on resources like, medicine or like healthcare and, Medicaid and food stamps and stuff. I know people very, very, very close to me who have suffered, but my personal level of suffering, I can still sit in front of this camera and talk about it. But it's like, I'm lucky with my position. A lot of people around me aren't. That's the average American person really is starting to suffer more. And it's like, I feel lucky to not haven't felt this as a severe sting yet, right? But for the cries of people who who are being very, very affected by this racist, classist regime. My heart goes out to them. The Epstein ballroom. The United States, and by that I mean Donald Trump, tore down like the East. He's tearing down the whole East Wing, and he's got donators like Palantir and Lockheed Martin and all these high tier, he's got Meta and all these billion-dollar oligarchs who are like funding, and also with the American taxpayers' money, they're funding like the complete reconstruction of the East Wing of the White House, tearing down history, really, for a glorious golden ballroom that some people are calling the Epstein ballroom, that some people are calling the Epstein bunker, because apparently, when we got defense contractors and stuff, one of the first things that Hitler did when he knew that shit was about to go down was he built a bunker. He tore down historical buildings and built a bunker, and that's what Donald Trump is doing right now, and it's costing Americans money, right? That's old news. They're still doing it, and even like as far back as like the whole thing, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, when Donald Trump was trying to put eyes on it, like, hey, so we got the trucks coming in, right? That's still going on. What the American government can pay for? We can afford to pay ICE. So we've got like our military members going into like food pantries, and we're still paying what is effectively a secret police force. Now, some people ask, like, why is it a secret police force if they're operating in the open? They're secret police because they do not have to identify themselves, and they're masked, and they're doing extrajudicial things. They are disappearing people. The American government is trafficking and disappearing some people who are citizens and some people who are here legally to places that, it's very expensive to track, seize, hold, and traffic these people to countries that even that they're from. But what the American government is doing is they're doing this, and they're just taking them to places that they're not from, like landlocked countries in Africa. Alberto Kilmar, or the guy that they took to, that terrible prison in Guatemala, they are just trying to send him to Africa. He wants to go to Costa Rica, and Costa Rica said, yes, send him here because y'all are treating him really badly. But no, they're trying to do things cruelly. They are disappearing people. They are sending them to the wrong country, and that costs a lot of money to do that. Administrative costs, logistical costs. And that's not just happening to like one very unfortunate person who's being personally targeted by the President of the United States. It's happening to a whole bunch of people who aren't being tracked. It's actually happening to more of them. Obviously, there's more of those people that we don't see than for the people that we do see, right? How many times have they gotten away with it? And how many times will they try to get away in the future? And how much money is it going to cost us? How much money is it going to cost the average American person who pays taxes to this government? That's what they have money to do, right? They can fund staff ICE. They can pay them an amazing wage compared to what the rest of us make, and they can promise them, we'll pay off your student loans, we'll make sure you're fed, we'll make sure you're taken care of, because you're operating as this secret police force, this Gestapo, to terrorize the American people. That's what we can pay for, right? Troop deployments to blue cities. I think I mentioned this in a couple of videos before, but they are just deploying the National Guard and the military to cities that Trump doesn't like, Portland, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and they're just going to stand there and post their guns and try to agitate people into action to incite some sort of, obviously, again, the president is trying to incite the Insurrection Act by doing things, by posing things, by creating scenarios where something might happen that he can call a rebellion. That's what we have the money for. We can deploy those troops to blue cities that the president doesn't like. There's been a couple of events after the passing of Charlie Kirk. There was like a WrestleMania-like event that was actually like kind of like a funeral procession where people were. It was to mourn his death, but it came more off as like a Trump rally than anything else. And Erica Kirk has been under a lot of fire for not really seeming like she's in mourning, and her little fling with JD Vance is going on very publicly, and like Trump supporters very much trying to, like, I'm not even joking, they're shipping Erica Kirk and JD Vance right in his wife's face. JD Vance's wife is a Hindu lady, and she's not white. She's very, very, very not white. She's just married to one of the worst operating white supremacists in this country, and they are now shipping her husband with the late wife of Charlie Kirk. And that's what we have money. We have money to have these WrestleMania-like funeral events. And there was a Gatsby party at Mar-a-Lago with women dancing in cups. I'm not even joking. That's what the American taxpayer, that's what the American government has money for, apparently. We ain't got money for SNAP benefits. We don't have money to feed or take care of our children or healthcare, but we can do all that. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. I mean, obviously, there's all sorts of stuff that the United States government is up to that they say they don't have money for, like Pete Hegseth, who is not qualified to do many, many things in the military, given his, the rank that he was when he was discharged, and whatever. It's like he's allowed to do photo ops in a fighter jet. That's actually kind of funny that we can. He wouldn't be able to do that anyways. He's an alcoholic. He wouldn't be allowed within like 6 feet of like operating the fucking controls of a fighter jet. But we can have photo ops where he's flying in one and post that to social media, right? That's what the American taxpayer has money for. We can fly one of those terrible machines and put this completely unqualified, not even unqualified person behind like the passenger seat of that thing and pretend like he's driving the thing for a photo op. That's what we can afford. That's what American people can afford. I do not like our government. I do not like this country. And it's like, as someone who does not work a job that is incredibly useful to, like, I don't have like degrees or like anything yet. I'll be going to school very early next year. But for the time being, it's not like I can escape from this nightmare. And if you're watching this video, you probably can't escape it either, which is nuts. I want to. I don't want to live here anymore. We got to sit here and grin and bear it. And just when something wrong happens, we call it out, or something's weird or off, then we have to just grin and bear until we can do something about it. At the end of all my videos, I do say, stay well connected, do the things that you can do to protect your community, inform them, feed them, arm them, right? All that stuff. And I stand by that because we really don't have anything but each other. And we should embrace that. If you can afford to help, if you can afford to know your neighbors, if you're in situations where you're empowered to express personal power through community and through cooperation and by personal, personal defense and personal, being the best person you can, then I would recommend you keep doing that to protect yourself, for the future. But that's enough for me. Thanks for watching the video. Later on, I realize I haven't made a video in a long time. So I don't know. It's like the political stuff I always have, like I'm always writing, obviously, but I'm like, I want to do like cute and funny stuff. I made a TikTok. If you found me on TikTok, congratulations. Like I said, I'm not really like a social media person anymore. I've been off of social media for a couple of years now, and I'm really off of social media because a lot of these apps I don't have it on my phone anymore. But I did feel like making like a Pokemon channel later so I can do something less serious. But who knows? We'll see. And I won't be advertising it here. If you know me and you know my face, this is more for the people who made it to this part of the video. Would you, this is your question, despite all that's going on and despite like my YouTube content on this channel, would you even like watch me make Pokemon stuff? I'll be posting it regardless of what the answer is, but I just wonder. That is really enough for me though. Bye. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Peace.